In today's video, I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to have a look at an old beer can collection that I purchased. I bought a large collection off a guy, most of them still full, which is really a bit of a pain because some of them are starting to leak and you've really got to empty them all. There was some Tasmanian stuff in there I wanted, which was what I collect, so some Cascade and Bogue stuff, and also a bit of other Australian stuff. So there's a lot of like Foster's, Tui's and that sort of thing, various ages from the 70s through to the 90s sort of thing. And there was this great big box of international ones which were all unopened or largely unopened. Some of them have since opened themselves or rotted through. A few of them were empty. I think there was a batch of around maybe 10 or a dozen or so New Zealand ones still full of beer, and I did put them on Facebook somewhere, I think, and asked if anyone was interested. And I think some guy up around Brisbane or somewhere paid for them and got me to send them up to him still full, so that got rid of that lot. And I'm just cleaning up some of my local stuff and put some new shelves up, so I thought I'd better dig out some of this old stuff and see what it's like. And I was actually thinking a lot of this stuff was not very good quality, more modern stuff and only good for the bin really, or the scrap metal pile, but it turns out some of these are a bit better than I thought. And there are a couple of like fairly modern Guinness. That one had actually popped its top on its own. It's one of those ones that's got some sort of ball in there. I think might have had a gas in it or something. So I thought a lot of it was actually these sort of things, and a lot of these are all end up dented and stuff. And this guy actually had them in the sun and stuff, so some of them had already popped open on his shelves. But it turns out there was only this, a couple of other tall cans like this, some of them like Canadian and Dry type mix or Jim Beam or something like that. So these I don't really care about. They're kind of interesting because they're in a big can. No idea what the date is on this one. Don't think 21 was its use by date. So those I don't really care about too much, but there's a lot of these older ones. A lot of them need cleaning up. And yeah, these have got the humidity patches, as they call it, where water's got in under the label. A lot of them are quite old. That's from Aberfeldy Cellars, so that receipt's almost worth something. Probably back in the 70s or something. This is a Brahma Chop, exported by Brahma Breweries, Rio de Janeiro. Product of Brazil, so that's an interesting one. Still got the older style rip top, so it's 70s or 80s. Quite an old one, I think, with this lift ring, probably is the 70s. And this one, the top's rotted out, got the dried up remains in it. It is a Ind Coupe, not sure, long life. It's actually got the little E symbol there, which is now we've all been forced to put on everything these days. Brewed expressly for the can. Pale beer of the finest quality. Beer. Ind Coupe or Coupe or something, limited, London, England. Brewed in Great Britain expressly for the can. And it's got it in French by the look of it. So no idea, but it's the older style again. I think it's the same top as that other one, so probably 70s. Do we have or 33 centilitres, I think that is. That's the other thing that gives away the date. 11.5 US fluid ounces. I mean, the Yanks still use that, I think, so doesn't mean a lot. Christian Schmidt Brewing Company. Schmidt's quality beer since 1860. Philadelphia, PA and Cleveland, Ohio. Brewed with pure water, malt, cereal grains, hops and cultured yeast. 12 fluid ounce or 355 mils. So it's got a barcode on it, although they came out in the sort of early 80s really. No date or anything. I think, was this the one that had leaked? Oh no, that one is open. One of them had leaked out through a hole in the bottom. Might be another can. Here's another of these Ind Coupe things. 330 mils. Pilsner, double diamond Pilsner. London, brewed in the UK by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, brewers of ale and lager. So again, top's horrible on it because I think this one had leaked out again. These two seem to have rotted out right at the little bit where the pull ring was. I actually flicked that off earlier because they were covered in dirt and stuff, so I cleaned all that off. Budweiser, everyone's favourite beer at the moment, with all the Bud Light controversy. 12 fluid ounce, 355ml. Does it have a barcode? It does, a funny little short one. So this isn't exactly old, probably the 80s or something. Lager beer, brewed by our original process from the choicest hops, rice and best barley malt. Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis, MO at Fairfield, CA. And I think that's the same thing. What does it say? This is a famous Budweiser beer. We know no brand produced by any other brewer which costs so much to brew and age. Exclusive Beechwood aging produces a taste, a smoothness and a drinkability you'll find in no other beer at any price. Definitely an 80s style top. Still got the removable ring seal. Pitch in. Oh yeah, so that might be a litter campaign as we had in Australia. Keep Australia beautiful. Shows some dude chucking something in a bin. Although we better not misgender him with Anheuser-Busch, I guess. Old Vienna lager beer. Premium quality, 341ml. Carling O'Keefe Breweries, Toronto, Canada. 5%. Union made. That's probably the can company thing. That's actually split on the side. One thing I found with the Australian cans, even from the 70s, is they survive really well. The beer in them's almost like new. Sometimes it's the Cascade ones and stuff that were made by Gadsden Cannery in the north of Tasmania actually last really well. This one is pretty poorly sealed up, but it doesn't have a proper seam down it, so that might be why. Just say OV or something. Old Vienna, I guess. So that's a Canadian one. That's got these interesting old little press-in bits. These were bad for your fingers, base. I remember these as a kid. We had them on soft drink cans. I think you push a little one and you push a big one, but of course when that lets go, your finger basically goes down the hole and you can cut yourself on it. We've got a Valley Forge Old Tavern beer. Oh, this is another Schmidt & Son, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 12 fluid ounces. And that almost looks like it's rusted even though it's painted. Oh, this was the one that had a little hole. So maybe it is a steel can. Those Americans made what looks like aluminium. I reckon this is steel because the bottom doesn't look aluminium. Look at that. Well, that bit is. Yeah, that's definitely steel. So it's only aluminium top like most of them anyway. Interestingly, it doesn't have much of a seam in it. How did they make a piece, unless they wouldn't have punched the whole thing out of one piece? It almost looks like they have. So most of them are rolled. You've got your flat sheet of steel, then you got the seam, then you got the bottom crimped on and the top crimped on. Steel bottom, aluminium top. That's what all the local ones are made like. So that's actually quite an interesting can. In pretty poor condition now because the rust is coming through. This package can cause litter. Dispose of it properly. Reminder. Yes, don't litter everywhere. And that's got the old dispose it properly. Please don't litter. Good to see. Yes, that's a steel can. Well, I've never seen one of those before, but the local ones were never made like that. Another American, I think, Miller High Life. The champagne of beers. Not something they're associated with these days, I don't think. America's quality beer since 1855. Union made again. And we've got some Japanese writing on this one, so I wonder if this was an Asian. 355ml I can see on there. Barcode. Oh, Korea it says. Ingredients: water, barley, corn, yeast, natural hops, flavour, hops. Natural hops, flavour, and hops. So it's got hop flavouring as well, is it? Contains no additives or preservatives. Product of Miller Brewing Co. That one's pretty rough, all bent up. I doubt it's worth much, so that might be a stomp on it and throw it in the aluminium scrap heap. Premium beer, JR Ewing's private stock. If you have to ask how much my beer costs, you probably can't afford it. JR Ewing. There's a Ewing used to run the video stores here. Imported from Texas. Recyclable all aluminium can, PCC, whatever that is. Pearl Brewing Co. 12 fluid ounce, 355ml, barcode. Copyright 1980, Lorimer Productions. All rights reserved, licensed by Ziv International Incorporated. So yeah, probably 80s. Again, it's got a tear off type tab on it. Let's get rid of those ones. They were the only empty ones, I think, or there might have been one more. Let's have a look at a few full ones here. McEwen's Scotch Ale, beer from Scotland. $330 mils, 33 centilitres, 12 UK fluid ounces, 11.5 US fluid ounces, 4.4% alcohol, Scotch Ale, beer from Scotland, export. Brewed and canned by Scottish and Newcastle breweries, Edinburgh, Scotland. The usual steel type construction. Definitely needs a clean. Better not shake these up too much or something might give way, but these are the style of cans we have in Australia, or did have, before they all went aluminium, and generally they last pretty well. But these have all been exposed to moisture. Let's see if we can clean a couple of them up a little bit. You can soak them in, was it citric acid or white vinegar? We'll get rid of some of the rust. But once it's under the label, like on these ones, it's more just for the heavy rust you get on the actual steel. Once you've got these humidity marks, it's basically had its date. Some of these might still be worth something to the right person, but generally they're pretty well had it when they're in that condition, unless there's some super rare can, which I did find one in here. I just had a quick look at it. I will look some of these up on the internet, I guess, and see if they are rare, but there is, I think, at least one rare one here that might be worth what I paid for the whole lot of them. Dispose of properly, please don't litter. Another one of those tops, it's the same on that previous one there, basically the same. I'm not even going to try and read that. Looks Greek or something. Keo beer. Minimum contents 11.5 fluid ounces. Not sure what that company is. Brewed and canned in Cyprus, well, close enough, by Keo Limited. It's a Pilsner beer brewed from the finest malt and the choicest hops, properly matured in the Keo ideally chilled lagers. Never heard of that one before. It's a Cyprus beer, not something you see in Australia very often. This has got some serious muck. I think this one's actually either another beer's leaked on it or it's leaking out around the rim. And I really should have got onto these a bit earlier before they deteriorated anymore, but I don't value international beers very much because they're not something I collect. It's a Tusha, maybe. Übersee export. Looks a bit like a German Imperial Eagle or something on there. That's probably the big brewery tower, is it? Bad Norstadt Saal or something. Stat Bild mit Term. And it's got the German sort of spelling as the first one. Brauerei. Erfüllung Brauag Nürnberg. Brewed in Bavaria, so it's a Bavarian beer. They're pretty famous. Yeah, 11.25 fluid ounce, sorry, 0.33 litres. Import something, Allemagne Fédérale, that must be the French people or something. Birra Speciale. Imbottigliata Presso, I wonder if that's Nürnberg. Nuremberger, Bavaria. 13 content litri, so that might be the Italian or something version. Plainish sort of top with the same old pull tab, and here's another one of its brothers, I guess. It might have been the same one. That's a picture of Nürnberg. So Schöner Brunnen mit, I can't read that, Brumtum Figurenteil an Frauenkro or something. That is a hell of an impressive church, I guess. My God, nice bit of Gothic architecture there. It looks like it's been faded in the sun, this one. I think the other one's the same. The whole, yeah, the back part of the photo is quite nice, and it goes very bluish, greenish. So these are basically scrap metal, I'd say, because they're been sun damaged. Export, Übersee export. Is it just the same thing? What does that say? Aristoteles, maybe? Don't know. Probably the same label. I wonder if they just come with different photos on them as they do. But yeah, very impressive looking church. Hieronymus. That must be where these statues are, and some very ornate metalwork or something. But they, I don't think, are much good for anything because they are faded away. And this is a beer that caught my eye because it's got a flat top still. So prior to the ring pull type opening top on it, it's not in too bad condition. I thought it was a bit worse. See if I can clean this up. This is a British one. Tropic Ale, specially brewed by Worthington. Canned for export, Bottlers Limited, London. England, of course, serve cool. This label issued by Bass Mitchells and Butlers Limited, Burton and Birmingham. 12 imperial fluid ounces, 11.5 US fluid ounces, 34 centilitres. So it's got a picture of a ship, a bikini girl with an umbrella and sunglasses. And I looked this one up online because it was just the first one I sort of caught my eye, and I thought, oh, it's actually an old one. There's been a couple, I could only find like 2 pictures of them where they'd sold in auctions, and they'd gone for a couple $100 each, so that one might actually be worth something. Still full of beer. I don't reckon it would taste any better than vinegar by now. Here's another one of these Turcher things, and we've got a picture of something different by the look of it. Oh, that's that same church, I think. Looks like a more distant shot of that. Yeah, same church with a clock, maybe. Same tower. Yeah, I think that's the same place, but we've got some other great big thing sticking up here, which might be, that's probably parts of the same thing in the previous shot that was zoomed in. Yeah, it's these lower parts of this thing, I reckon. Oh, it should tell us. It's Nürnberg Christkindlesmarkt. Nürnberg. Yes, it's actually they're all the same place. Brewed in Bavaria. So I guess that's the Christkindlesmarkt or whatever. So another one of those, same top as the previous one. Needs a good clean. Many years of dust. I don't know when this guy last had them on display, but I think they'd been off display for a while. Here's a very rusty one. Steel can, which is a Henninger export. Brewery Abfling. So there's another Bavarian. Ein Bier aus der Großen Großstadt Deutschlands. Excuse my bastardisation of the language. Blonde beer. Fabrique par Henninger Brau. I guess that's Frankfurt sur le Main, RFA. Birra Special Original Tedesca Fabricata Confezionata dalla Henninger Brau in Frankfurt Solmeno, Germ Ock. The contents, I guess, minimum of 0.34 litres or 12 fluid ounces in British. Wunder offen gebraut something Brau Frankfurt im Deutschland. Store in a cool place. Do not shake before opening. Oh, come on. Beer brewed and filled by Henninger Brau Ah, so here it is, Frankfurt, Germany. Ah, no fun if you don't shake it before you drink it. How are you going to spray anyone with beer that way? I've got a Clippers, Cobes, Kolsch, Wheels, Schmeckt und so bekommlich ist. Rein Obergerang. Probably spelled that, pronounced that completely wrong. Beer Cerveza. Same size as the rest, although some say 0.33 centilitre or 33 centilitres, 0.33 litre, even though it's the same amount, assuming that is an American fluid ounce. Brewed and canned in Western Germany, so that would show that's reasonably old if they're still calling it Western Germany. Product of Germania. Das Echt Kuplers Kolsch. Is that what same as the other side. One side's completely faded. That's what it should look like. That's what it shouldn't look like. I'm not even trying to read all that. Don't know, something about its quality and stuff, I guess. And take a couple of decades worth of dust and muck off the top. That's a different top. I haven't seen one of those before. Got a squared off bit, so probably some German variant. What has it got? Don't know why those two little bits are pressed in. Some German variant of the ring pull type top. Maybe it was coming off patent or something then and they decided to do their own. Well, that might clean up all reasonably well, but the bottom's pretty corroded. It's been lying in some beer or something out of one of the other cans, I guess. But yeah, so besides this Tropic Ale I think is actually possibly worth a bit of money. I doubt any of these other ones are. And I think these faded ones we can pretty much just punch a hole in them and let the beer out and then chuck them in the scrap steel, because I think unfortunately they've had their day, but I do want to get photos of all of them and document them anyway, just for the hell of it. I better put that one to one side, I think. What's in the next picture? Another one. We've got our Merc parked out the front there. Looks like a Nissan Pulsar. What's that doing in Germany? Another big Merc and a Beamer and a Volkswagen. Firth Rathaus. Cooper Pafani or something. Hotel. Another clock on a tower. Looks like a Sigma. Wouldn't be a Mitsubishi in Germany, would there? Brewed in Bavaria, so that's basically another version. Oh, it's a Mercedes wagon too, or a state as they call them over there. Don't see many of them in Australia. Ugh. Spider casing. I think that's actually a fully dead spider, that one. I've got another one, so these must have been a series. Got some more buildings. No, oh, I was going to say, is there a clock? There is a clock there by the look of it. Export Hof Rathaus again. Is that related to this other completely different building? No, we can't see the other building in that one. Same general stuff, so there must have been, and it looks like we've got another one, and they're all faded. That one's kind of got most of the picture, but yeah, that side's a bit gone. That one's completely faded in the middle. And we've got some old school Tudor era looking kind of buildings with the white and exposed timber. Nuremberg again. Oh, that's a hell of a place. I want to go on holiday now looking at this town. What on earth is that? Is that tiling? Pretty cool city wherever it is. So that's another one of those, and we've got a Tennent's lager. I think that's a British one. I have heard of Tennent's lager before. I was going to say, is it the girly ones? And it is the girly ones. I think they were famous for having scantily clad women on there. Penny at the end of the day. Tennent Caledonian Breweries. Oh, Scotland, it's the Scottish. Contents UK 11.66 fluid ounces. USA 11.21 and 333 mils. That's more like a modern beer in a smaller can. They were being a bit craft brewery and hipster before it was cool to be hipster. But yeah, I have heard of those ones with the ladies on them. Well, we do have another empty one. That's probably where half the rust has come from. Look at this thing, Carlsberg. That can's completely rotted out. Imported Carlsberg beer. Where does Carlsberg even come from? Is that like a Danish thing or something? Oh yeah, it is, by the look at it, with a name like that. Copenhagen, Denmark, it even says on the top there. Brewed and canned by the Carlsberg Breweries to the Royal Danish Court. The Royal Swedish Court. Oh, well, they've got a Tasmanian lady over there as the... I don't know if she's the queen yet. She was the princess, whatever. Brewed and canned by the... Is it Danisberg Breweries, Copenhagen? So that one is definitely a go in the scrap metal bin, and could make a musical instrument out of that. The beer has dried into a rattly lump. Oh, I was going to say, what's the top one? The top on that, well, you can't really see it, can you? But that's definitely 80s ring pull type again. Lever Repulsor. Lift and push back. So that might be an early one if they're actually telling you. So this is the later style, the flip up and snap in type, the litter reduction type. So this is getting more mid 80s, I guess. Carbohydrates, a Trilite, light beer lager or something. 18 calories, 100 grams per 100 grams, 60 calories. Carling O'Keefe Breweries, Toronto, Canada, Union Mates. That's another Canadian beer. Don't see many Canadian beers around the place, but I guess they're out there if you look. Can we get that to clean up at all? I think it's pretty well had its day. So that is definitely landfill, I think. Or scrap metal, I should say, really, because cheaper than landfill these days. Yeah, so that I think has had its day. Got a Harp. This is in a reasonable quality. Is that a Irish one or something? Yeah, Harp Ireland, canned by Guinness Exports. Oh, there you go. It's actually part of Guinness potentially. Another 33 centilitres or 330 millilitres. Just a lager beer, extra quality. So one side faded, one side good. That one's actually got those little depression things. Oh, is that what it is to stop that part moving side to side, I guess? Please don't litter. Dispose of properly. Like that one's probably worth saving. I'll punch a hole in the bottom of that and stick it on display because it's in good enough condition. And we've got another McEwan's. I think we had McEwan's before, didn't we? Strong Ale. Beer from Scotland, brewed by Scottish and Newcastle Breweries, Edinburgh, Scotland. Okay, for the next lot we've got something leaking out. I think we've got another German one. And does it say where we are? We're at Lichtenfels. Desilika Wiesenheiligen or something. Not sure how you do German. So another big church type looking building. I think that's definitely a church. And made in Bavaria again, same top. So they must have been a series of different photos, different scenery and stuff. But what have we got here? Something absolutely it's goo. Sticky. I think it's turned back to proper malt. Ugh, it smells like vinegar and malt. Wyra Holland, something like that. Brand. Lager beer by appointment to Her Royal Highness. 33 centilitres again. The Prince of the Netherlands. Oh, it must be His Royal Highness. Whoops. I'll get it right. Brewed and canned by the Royal Brand Brewery Holland. I'm so used to HRH being Her Royal Highness for the Queen Elizabeth. Oh, so it's Royal Brand Brewery. So it's just got brand, but it's Royal Brand. With a double-headed, what is that? Griffin, dragon, something like that. Schweckhader. Schwarzquell. Well, if it's quelling, it might be good. Gehalt Vol. Dunkel. Special. Special Bitter. Produced and sung Convenzionata Dalla. Vienna, Austria. It's an Austrian beer. Oh, we don't have an English. Import by Gonduliano. Ronchi di Leg. So I wonder if that was a Italian imported Austrian beer. Austrian, did I say? Yeah, Vienna. Plain top. Same sort of era. And we've got brewers by birth since 1869. And Ortlieb's. A fine lager beer. Try Joe's beer. Sounds American. Filia. Brewed and packaged by Ortlieb's Brewery of Philadelphia, I guess. Brewers by birth, same thing. 12 fluid ounce, 355ml. That's another of those Yankee steel cans, I think. Yeah, that's magnetic. At least this one hasn't leaked through like the other one. Definitely rusty on the bottom though. So that must have been an American style. I think the Americans invented the ring pull can. Dispose of properly, please don't litter. I think the Australian ones had something very similar and pretty much had that same piece. And for the next four, oh God, I was going to say, sure we don't have any more German ones, but sure enough there is one. It's another town scene. Traffic lights there, nice clock tower again with some flags hanging off the side. I think it says Ansbach or Ansbach. Herinda. Unfortunately, it's rusted on the name. And oh, look at the top of it. Yuck. But these have been a bit neglected, and it didn't help that I left online there for a few, I don't know how many years it's been now, but quite a few. Herinda Toy. What are we spelling it? Oh, it's Harriada. T-O-I, I think. So that's another in that series. I forget how many we've got to now, but there's a few of them. Anchor now, that's a pretty common name for a brewery. I think this might have been an American one. Got a big mark down the side of it. Some of that may come off with a bit of soak. Another steel can by the look of it. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. ABC, Archipelago Brewery Co. 1941 was established. Brewed and canned under license by Malayan Breweries. 475 River Valley Road, Singapore. So is it an American beer? Doesn't say who they did it under license to. Brewed for export. Brewed for export. So was it brewed or was it brewed and canned under license? And we've got another one of these lady cans from Tennent's. A lot of damage to the label. Same thing, Penny at Night. So they all called Penny. Caledonian Breweries, yeah, same thing, and we've got a Rally. Rally. Beer Ale. La Brassa O'Keefe Limited. Oh, Montreal, Quebec, Quebec, Canada. Fabsino or something. 341 mils, 5% alcohol. That's another Canadian one. I wasn't expecting so much of the Canuck beers in here, but there you go. I guess it's a Respectons la Environmentinen or something. I can't even read the French on there. Don't litter. Nice gold top on it. Now what have I got? An aluminium. Well, is it aluminium? No, this is another one of these half steel. Looks like an aluminium can, the shape of it. Cerveza Tecate or something, Necho in Mexico. Hecco in Mexico. Contenido Neto 340 mils. Mexico Marca Registrada. I guess trademark registered or something. I don't know if I can even read that. Bebida del Moderation menos de 6 degree GL Uveseria. Oh, one of those words. Kua Ua Tecmoc SA Monterrey. Well, that probably means it's the location of the brewery or something, and we've got a completely different language on here, so I never really thought about it. I guess all these tops would come in different things. Is that Estapenda Tecate? I don't know. And then we've got a Suntory. Looks like some Asian writing down the bottom. A Marzen. Suntory Marzen beer, brewed and filled Suntory or by Suntory Brewery. And I don't think I can read anything on this one because it's all Asian writing by the look at it. I've got anything to say. Lift ring, pull open. 330 mil, 350 mil. Japanese, Taiwanese, I don't know. Have to look that one up. One of these end coupe things. Is that the same? I think it's the same as the other one. Double diamond. On the bottom, spotless. The rest of it's not in the best condition. Avon Litter. That's what it says. Oh, avoid litter by placing in. What is that? Something in. Oh, something in empty can. Oh, I think I put ring in empty can. Avoid litter. Put ring in empty can. Yeah, because this is the early type of tear off one. Finally found it. 330 mil. I reckon they're the same can, aren't they? That's why I couldn't read the top before. Oh, it's got the E thing on it. So Europe brought in those symbols. We've only just got them in Australia recently. Something to do with EU standards. Other than that, I think it's the same can. So ever so slightly different. I think it was the same ring pull bit, and I can just make out the writing there. What does it say though? What part are we reading? Litter. Yeah, that's the litter. Avoid litter. Yeah, that's it. This does actually come off. Avoid litter. Yeah. See if this one's stamped a bit better. Well, I think this one says dispose of properly or something. Yeah, it does. So this has got a different top on it as well. This is the problem with collecting these things, is you always find variants. Everything's a variant. You're like, oh, I've got two of them, I'll chuck one of them away. No such luck. Avoid litter, yeah, dispose of properly, whereas that's avoid litter, put ring in empty can. So I think we'll throw that one away anyway. It's pretty well had its day and it's only a slight variant. And better have a look at this last one, have a look at the good side anyway. Beck's Beer, Germany. Original Brewereisebezug, I don't know. Inholt, Continuto, 330 mils. And we better have a quick look at the top. Another one with the dented in bits to stop it rotating. And it doesn't say anything on that one. That might clean up a bit better, but I think that can's had its day pretty much. Is this another steel? Yeah, I never knew they made these steel bodied ones with the rounded off bottoms. They were always aluminium, I thought. Oh god, we've got another German one. It's another one in the series. Wurzburg, Festung Marienburg mit St. Kilian. That's like a big fort or something, almost looks like, or a monastery with a garden or something. Something on a hilltop there with a big wall and garden beds going down. And I guess this other one's the same, brewed in Bavaria. So I'll have to sort them out after, I guess, and see how many we got. There must be at least 10 cans or something now. Please don't litter. Dispose it properly. Is that another one of those? No, this is another Cerveza Especial. Ooh, I think some of that, yeah, the red's coming off. Aguila Imperial, Alborada and Espana, Port SA. So is that a Spanish one? Brewed and filled by SAL Aguila, Spain. So it is a Spanish one. And what's their first Spanish one? Watney's Export Lager. That sounds rather British. Brewed and canned in Great Britain for Watney Man Mortlake Brewery, London. Not for resale in the UK. That's interesting. So it's just an export lager. Well, it must have been bad if I didn't want to sell it there. Flog it off to the colonies, I guess, and let them have it. And that says avoid litter. It's got the same top, put ring in. Put ring in empty can, yeah, so that's like that other one. That is barely salvageable, I think. And what have we got? A Tiger Gold Medal beer. Awards won at Brewers Exhibition London, so probably another British, 34 centilitres. Oh no, it's Malayan breweries. Singapore, that's a Singaporean one. Nice tiger under a palm tree there. 12 fluid ounce. This looks like an Australian top pretty much. Please do not litter. Yeah, that looks very much like an Australian top. I'll have to compare that to one of the locals. So they probably got the same suppliers of tops as we did. Or maybe they supplied them to us. There's still a few to go. We have another penny. Another Tennent's, I guess. She's looking a bit worse for wear, I'm afraid. And yeah, and a lot more of the damage from moisture. Dispose of properly, please don't litter. So just another Tennent's lager. Penny in the evening. So they must have all been penny, different glamorous chicks. And that's got a big dent in it, so that I think is a punch a hole and throw it in the scrap metal. I've got a Skol. I've heard of these. Is that like Swedish or something? Pilsner. Oh, it's a Dutchy one. Brewed and canned in Rotterdam, Holland by Skol. Associates under license from Skol International. Or maybe Skol International isn't. This one's at least made in Holland by the look of it. Rotterdam, famous for their geez, what do they call it? Happy, oh, it's just hardcore techno music. Well, they were back in the early 90s or whatever. This is a Brouwerleibflung. Hacker. Peshore. Munchen. Edelhell. Well, that sounds fun. Hacker and Hell Export. Brau Tradition Site 1417. Christ, is that when they originally started the brewery or something? Some of these are that old. Net contents 0.33 litres or 11.6 fluid ounce. Beer importee. Proceed et mis in Boitpa Hacker Pshore Brau Munich. Munich, I should say. Alamagne Federali. Cat 1 Genuine Munich Beer. Beer to Munich. Brewed and canned by the same, I guess, 12%. Oh yeah, that was a strong one if it was a 12%er. Product to West Germany. So again, West Germany, yeah, top's rather rotted and horrible, or at least very filthy. Bottoms, mint. I can't believe most of the bottoms on these are mirrored like they're new. And I think we're leaking a bit out, or has it come out of, I don't know if it's come from above. The fact that it's sitting on top might mean it leaked out of another can on top. Fresh pale. This looks like a bit of a hipster brew from the modern era. They could steal the artwork off this one. Fresh Pale Pelforth. Beer Blonde Lager Beer. France. Par Pelforth. Brasseries Pelforth. BP97 Lille Cedex France. Minimum 33 centilitres. Beer Prodata da Inscatola Tolata in Francia. Well, I might learn to speak a few other languages by the end of this. Do we have any markings? I think, oh no, this one does have something on it. We've got another foreign language. Lift ring pull. Patent penned, so that's an early one probably. Leves Tires. So some cool tops on them. Just for something different, and that, I don't know that I even want to touch that. That is disgusting. Some horrible stuff. I think it does say something under there. Ugh. I don't think I care what it says. Well, would you believe we've got another of these Tucher things? Oh, we've got a bunch of soldiers or something in uniform. Looks rather good. Dinkelsbull. Dinkelsbuller. Knebenkenapel. No idea what that means. So that's another one, but yeah, I like their uniforms, look rather good. Not sure wearing bright white on the battlefield would be a good idea. Probably just a ceremonial dress, I guess. Another Schmid's light beer. Ugh, rotted on the bottom. Distinctive light beer brewed from the finest barley malt, hops and water. Philadelphia and Cleveland, Ohio. I've actually got the calories, carbohydrates, protein and fat. I don't think there's any fat in beer. Probably not much protein, 0.9 grams. Same as our regular beer if it's got a star on here, so no fat, no protein. 2.8 grams of carbohydrates, 96 calories per 12 ounces, which is what the can contains. And what do we got as a top? I think that might be a bit beyond its... Another one of these American steel ones, I think, so the rust has crept up through the label. It's, yeah, well and truly paint falling off it everywhere. Dispose of properly. Please don't litter. I've got an aluminium, that's upside down, what the hell? Oh, another Sapporo. I think we had one of those just recently, didn't we? And of course, the problem with aluminium cans is, of course, they get lots of dents in them. That's up. Okay, they've done the label upside down on one side and right way up on the other. It's got a big ding in it there. Some little bloke here drinking out of a beer mug. Asian writing. All aluminium can. Oh, it's Sapporo Breweries Limited, Tokyo, Japan. So that might explain where that other, I think I had one of the same brand before, but I couldn't work out where it was from. And this has got a lot of moisture damage. An Astra Export, Bavaria, St. Pauli, Brauerei, Hamburg, Brauerei Abflong. It's another Quell Fritsch und Volmundig. Original, that's their address, Hamburg, Alamein, RFA, 33 centilitres. Original German beer produced by Bavaria, St. Pauli Brewery, Hamburg, West Germany. Oh, that one's paint's all peeling off, so something's eaten into that one. Definitely steel. Yeah, normally they stick on pretty well, those things, but it's probably been soaked. And we've got another skull. Let's see if this one's made in Holland. Rotterdam, yep. Skullbrewery, that sounds like Dutch. Rotterdam, Helmond. Holland beer. Well, it says Holland beer on it, so that's a bit more useful. Brewed and canned in Rotterdam, Holland by Skull. Associates under license from Skull International. Same thing as it said last time, I think. That might actually clean up quite reasonable. It's got a couple of little Mon Selection, Luxembourg, 1977. So if they've got those on there, you'd assume they're not too old. If they won in 77, this is probably from around that sort of era. Late 70s, early 80s. Obviously can't be before that era at that time. Suntory beer. Real draft. And like a lot of them's got the picture of the beer mug there. Or tankard, or whatever you want to call it. All aluminium can, doesn't say 350 mils where it was made, but we know where it is now. Watney's Export again. I think I already had one of these, didn't I? Brewed and canned in Great Britain, not for sale in the UK. So is that the same as the last one? Put ring in empty can, avoid litter. Now the other one's actually a different, one's a lager, one's an ale. Well, they kind of make a nice pair. If they were in better condition, they would anyway. Oh well, so that's what that is. Labatt's. This is one of these Eleva and Repulsa. Lift. One lift, two push back. So that's the newer style opener. Call for Labatt's Blue. 5% alcohol, limited breweries in Canada. Union Made, Vancouver, Edmonton. Something London, Montreal. Scatoon, Winnipeg maybe, I don't know. Must be different. St. John, Halifax. St. John's, Canada. I think that's what that says. Some of that filth might come off there. But yeah, that's had its day, I think. And it's a Pilsner. Saskatoon, Winnipeg, London, Montreal, St. John, Halifax, St. John's, Canada, Edmonton, Vancouver. So maybe that's all their different brewing company. Was it something Brewing Company Limited? Labatt's, well, because it's Labatt Brewing Company. Lift and push back here, we saw that, I think. So that's another Canadian. And we have a Scandia Gold Strong Export Lager Premium Beer. Oh, well, there's the Danish flag, isn't it? Danish Interbrew A/S Copenhagen, Denmark. Pure water hops, contains only natural ingredients, brewed and matured in Denmark. 11.6 fluid ounces, or 330ml. Premium beer, I think I said that. Skinny Gold. Importadors. Tucuman Flakes SA. Talcahuano 1188, Buenos Aires. I was expecting it to be Spanish, but of course I'm in Spanish language, isn't it? But it's not, so it was imported into South America by the look of it. Kirin Lager beer, which I think is Japanese, one of the last big companies in the brewing industry, and this Kokui or something, 900 malt liquor, brewed and packaged by Ortlieb's Brewery, Philadelphia. Another one of those American steel cans that looks aluminium. And the, unpronounceable, or probably better not to try and pronounce it, German one. Let's just call it Tenberg, Furtenberg, made in West Germany. And we've got a boring old Heineken. Everyone's heard of them. But I guess you don't see one that early anymore. Never a big fan of Heineken beer. It always tasted pretty bad, I thought. But their Bintang that they have over in Indonesia is actually quite a nice beer. Well, probably only in Bali, I guess, because I don't think Indonesians necessarily drink alcohol, but in Bali they do, and that's quite a nice beer. You can get it in Australia. Hors Concours Membre de Jury Paris 1900, Grand Prix Paris 1880. Diplome d'Honneur, I guess that means the medal or whatever, Amsterdam 1883, medal in Paris 1875. Well, this is more like 1970s or 80s, so pretty bad if you haven't won any since, I guess. Brewer since 1873, by appointment Her Majesty the Queen, His Royal Highness the Prince of the Netherlands, purveyors to His Majesty the King of Sweden. Brewed and canned by Heineken Brouwerigen BV, Amsterdam, Holland. Brewed in Holland. Keep your country clean, please don't litter. Not with our brand name on it. Anyway, we've got a off. You see that from a funny angle. You wonder what it's actually going to be called. A cough. Parentite Velvoit Tradition Erna for Plichter. I was going to say, it must be somewhere weird. Helsinki. Tom Birkin. I'm not going to try and read all this. Something about 1939, 100,000 somethings. Kista. Yeah, I think it probably is from that part of the world, because it's like half Russian, half German or something. So I think I'll say, which one is it? Oh, it's Helsinki, not Helsinki. So somewhere like Finland or something, I think. That's got to be A. Iva Export. Olut Olbier. Nice horse and cart there with all the brewery's barrels stashed on it, which might be what this story is about. 200,000. I wonder that's how much beer they brewed. I don't know. 1969 something. So I don't know if it's a special can or just a normal can. It's a bit bigger. Does it say what contents? It's more than the 375ml, I think, probably 440ml. We've got a Coors, which well-known American brand. Coors Light. Coors Banquet. Got a little cascade thing there. America's Fine Light Beer. Brewed with pure Rocky Mountain spring water. 12 fluid ounces. Or 355 mils. All aluminium. Recycle. Of course, aluminium's always been worth enough to be worth the bother of recycling. Only just with beer cans, but... Oh, we've got a date on this, have we? No, just November 5th. HO6. One of those more square-ended ones. And this, I think, is Fijian. This is more of a local kind of brand. As I say, please don't litter, dispose of properly. Yeah, well, that's the ones, the Australian ones. They've got those two little bits that stick up, is how they stop the bit moving. 375 mil or 12.68 fluid ounces. Held South Pacific Export Lager, gold medal winner, International Lager Beer Competition. Brewed and canned by South Pacific Brewery Limited, Port Moresby, PNG. So not Fijian, it's PNG, Papua New Guinea beer. So that's more like one. I'll definitely be keeping that one. I'll punch a couple of holes in the bottom of that one and keep it. It's still in pretty good condition, not even faded on one side. One side's a bit dented. But I always like that bird of paradise thing on it, looks great. So that's one of the nicer beer labels, I guess. And we're down to the last 5, which are, I think, more modern stuff. I guess all 3 of those have got the old school pull rings. Share the dark secret of Opal Nera. I think lemon and cola, so that's not even a beer. 250 ml, I think that can just be... It's kind of a cool little can. Be opened and emptied. I think that's actually scratched off, so it's not in very good condition. Never heard of them. 10 standard drinks. Jeez, oh, 1 standard drink. Approximately 1 standard drink, carbonated water, Opal Nera liqueur, sugar, food acid, so it's one of these alco pop things. Contains caffeine. Canned in Italy for Francoli SPA Gem or something. Important distributed in Australia by Suntory. In Alexandria, New South Wales. In New Zealand by Wines and Spirits Limited. Product of Italy. That's a bit of a different one. I don't remember seeing that one around. Who knows, it might still be good in there, but you wouldn't know when that was made. No use by date on it. Big Serve can. Oh, there's one Kiwi one that got away. I should have sent that to that guy. Product in New Zealand. I didn't even recognise that as a New Zealand beer. Most of the other ones I think were old, sort of 70s one. Joseph Kutz. Lager beer. Gold medal winner in 1988. One of the true pioneers of New Zealand brewing, arrived here in 1867, founded a brewery in Cromwell. 1871. He remained active in brewing throughout his often colourful life. Fine lager style beer is brewed in his honour. Recyclable aluminium can, product of Kiwi land, 4% alcohol. Dominion Breweries, Auckland. Mangatanoka, Timaru. So that's a fairly modern one, I'm guessing. Could be 80s, or it looks more 90s with a thinner top on the can. Everards. What the... Okay, we've got an Everards with a bit of rusty muck on there. Old original ale with a... Is that a belt or a bit of horse leather or something? Fine traditional ale, 440 mils. Tiger Brewery, Burton-on-Trent. So that's a known sort of brewing area, I think. Brewed in the United Kingdom. Avoid litter, dispose of properly, and some little symbol on there. Still probably an 80s kind of era can, because it's got the rip top. I don't know if Britain changed theirs around the same time we did, but I would think so. Around the world they probably did. This one's a very beaten up can, big dent in the top. Oh, what's the little symbol thing it's got on it? No idea. Some interesting little symbol there on the actual pull bit. McEwan's India Pale Ale, brewed in Scotland, export. Scottish and Newcastle Breweries plc, Edinburgh, Scotland, 440 mils. Dispose of tidily. That's a bit different. So that has well and truly had its day. Barcode. Still got the old style pull ring, and this looks like a similar thing. Pull open, then lift, it's got written on it, with a couple of smaller little bits. Suntory beer. Brewed and filled by Suntory Brewery. Real draft again, so this is just a bigger version. Absolutely beaten up. All aluminium. Interesting bottom on it. That I think is scrap metal. And I think that's it. Only thing left to do really, besides emptying all these things, which is going to be fun, let's have a look at those German ones again. Up with 3 Tennants, all in pretty poor condition. I've got penny in the evening, penny at night, and penny at the end of the day. So there you go. I think there's a whole series of those. I've got a feeling I've seen some for sale locally recently, but don't think any of those are in good enough condition to be worth keeping. I might keep the best fronted one, maybe that one. Oh, is it that one? Hard to tell. That's got damage there, that's got damage there. I don't think any of them are really worth it, but I might keep one for the shelf. I think that one can go in the scrap. It is absolutely shot. So it might be one of those worth keeping. I think that one looks the best from a distance, so that'll do. So looks like we end up with about 10 of these Tukas or whatever they are. Tucha. So that's one of the bigger collections of beer cans you'll find. I think those Tennants ones had a similar number. And it reminds me, I've got some African ones here I might dig out and we can have a quick look. I've already emptied them a long time ago. Finally got them on display. Unfortunately, all these are faded. If we turn around to the good parts of the photos, look how much nicer they were once. Shame someone's left them in the sun. Outright crazy given they're still full of beer. But yeah, look at those. These were quite a nice series of cans once. Some rather nice scenery on them. It was nice, these old steel cans. They could print really good quality sort of pictures on them, photo quality. Quite innovative in the day to see, you know, high quality photos printed on beer cans. They had some good ones, like the local Sydney to Hobart ones and stuff from Cascade. But that's what they originally looked like. Would have had some nice scenery on them, just something a bit different. But unfortunately, I think those are all just punch a hole in them and throw them in the scrap metal. Not really worth. I don't want to look at them with fronts like that on it, and no one's going to buy them in that condition. They're probably a dime a dozen anyway. They're sort of cans that every beer collector hung on to because they were like special editions. And the problem is with the special editions is everyone kept them. So yeah, a bit of a shame they're all ruined. Okay, and these are ones I did a while ago. Punched holes in the bottom with the old style can opener because these were full as well. And these are all numbered. And thankfully they're not faded, or not badly faded anyway. But these are Lion Lager beer. Number 1 in a collection of 14 studies. Did I have all 14? I'm not sure. 340 mils. I think South Africa, being a hot country, they'd have bigger cans. Olsen's Cape Breweries Limited, 3 Main Road, Newlands, 7700, Cape, South Africa. Lion. So that's your South African Wildlife Series. I think we can guess that's elephant, which it says. Looks like the old leopard. and antelope or something, impala. So that's the first 4 of those, plain topped, much like those sort of European, those German cans actually. Then we got here number 5. That's a cheetah by the look of it. Maybe that's a springbuck. That's number 6. Number 7 is the wildebeest. Yeah, where'd number 8 go? Number 8, well, that would be zebra, I guess. Yep. And a few vultures or something looking over them. So again, quite nice scenery. They're having a bit of a competition. A couple of cheetahs looking well fed and hanging out on a hot day. Number 9, hippo, I guess. Yep. Can't see much of him, but there's one, there's a whole bunch of heads there, so quite a few hippos. Bit hard to see in the dusk light there. And these are a gemsbuck. That's how you say it. That's the ones with the ribs, sort of long antlers on them. But number 11 is a kudu. Oh, he's got big twirly antlers or horns. Nyala. I don't know all these African animals anymore. As far as the deer and antelope types, they're quite a cool looking semi-stripy thing. And the last 2, 13 and 14, obviously giraffe and rhinoceros. Better check that's what they're calling them. Yep. So they're quite a nice series. Nice bit of wildlife. And yeah, they look quite good set out. I've got them all on a shelf now. And yeah, I just bottom open these because the steel ones are easy. You can use one of the old school can opener, bottle openers. Usually it's a bottle opener one end with a piece to pull your crown seal off, and the other end it's got the bit for punching the tins or cans. And these have got this metal lip on them which it grips on. The little piece fits under. Might even show it on a couple of the ones that I'm going to keep, because I'll bottom open anything I want to keep. And maybe I'll do another sound effects video on the ring pulls, because no one knows what they sound like anymore. Yeah, so that one may be worth something. I'll check a couple of the others, but I don't think they're really worth anything. But that is one I would have just probably punched a hole in the bottom. I think it still probably wants releasing, even if I do a small hole. And maybe I'll give that a bit of a soak in vinegar to try and I guess both ends, try and rid it of some of the rust to make it look a little bit better. But that is supposedly quite a rare beer, maybe because it was an export one, which I think is what it did. Is that what it said? Yeah, canned for export, bottlers, London, England. So maybe this was sent to the colonies like Australia back in the day. Or maybe that's why it's actually, that could explain why a lot of them don't exist anymore. If they were put on boats, cruise ships and stuff, most of them probably got tossed overboard during the cruise. It's probably all they did back in those days, so maybe that's what it was. Could have been made for some cruise line or something. And you generally don't find things that go on cruise lines survive. Either get dumped in some island somewhere, or more likely just get tossed off the side of the boat, because they didn't really care back in those days. And you know, some crab would probably appreciate that once it got down to the bottom of the ocean, make a nice little home for them. One thing I missed on the Tiger Gold Medal beer from Singapore. Yeah, Singapore, as it's got brewed for export, batch 1267 I think that is. So on the bottom of it. So I just flipped it upside down because I'll punch a couple of holes in that and realise it's got a bit more printing on it. Okay, this is one of those old school bottle openers made in Australia, Personware. Cascade Brewery moulded into this one, but I guess I just got them stamped up for whoever, whatever your local beer maker was. So you've got the end for pulling the crown seal bottle caps off, as still is today. Obviously don't do it on a twist top, you'll probably break the top of the bottle because they're so fragile. And this is the can one, hooks under the edge of the can there. And hopefully this doesn't go everywhere. It's going to a little bit. And you pop a hole in there. And the idea of the second hole is to let it out quicker, because if you don't put a second hole in, the air can't get in, and that stinks pretty bad. That was Penny at Night, our Tennant's Lager, or Tennant's Vinegar as it's now known. So now I can pour that out, and we've got a nice top still on the can. So once you pour the beer out, you want to give it a good rinse out. You'll still get a bit of this frothy stuff coming out. This has actually bent the bottom of the can in a bit, which is not ideal. That doesn't usually happen. These have obviously got a pretty flimsy bottom on them. And they're just going to pop back in, I think. But you don't see the bottom. So that's what you can do to empty them out while leaving your top intact. And while I was out there, I should have given that a good wash off and try and get all the grot out of there. So I often get a hose and just blast it in there. Well, not blast too hard because it'll come back at you, but give it a good flow of water in there and out the other hole. And then this will need sitting upright and draining out, or sitting on its side, or sit them in the sun or in front of a heater or something, upside down to try and evaporate all the water out. And then they're ready to put on the shelf, because otherwise you'll get like a sort of stain on the shelf. Often they'll sort of suck all the water out if they've got a seal around there, and yeah, often leave a bit of a stain of beer and yeast and rust. So best to completely dry them first. So yeah, a few holes in the bottom, quick rinse out, and give it a quick scrub around the top as well. Get them clean again. There's a bit of corrosion and stuff. These will get worse as they dry out completely, but at least they sort of come up reasonable again. Far from mint condition. Looks like these Tennant's ones are fairly easy to get hold of. Some of these beers is not much finding of these cans except on some particular can site. They don't give you any idea of what they're worth, if they're worth anything. Some of these you can find on American eBay for a few dollars each. So I think someone wanted a few dollars for one of these in mint condition, or maybe a set of them, about 4 of them I think. But again, what people ask on eBay isn't necessarily indicative of what anything's worth. It's just what someone's trying to get you to pay. But they should dry out and not look too bad, so I'll go through a few of those, and I guess we're going to have a look at maybe opening some of these. Hopefully they haven't been shook up too much. That's one of those German ones. They're only worth about $5 each, I think, plus post, which kind of makes them. So that's all they sound like. Get a nice little pop. That doesn't actually smell too bad like vinegar. And again, and that's what we did in the good old days. Sling them all over the ground everywhere like people did, all over the beach. Everywhere you walked as a kid you had to watch for those things. Guess we could see what this stuff actually looks like. I'll try it in the old Bogues Premium glass. Well, it doesn't look too bad. What's wrong with that? Should have cooled it down. I could have had a drink. Oh yeah, no, that doesn't smell nice on the nose though. Not as vinegar as some of them, but you got to admit that's clear. Nice malty. Can't really show it to the camera without tipping it over, but that is a nice malty colour. Nice beer colour, nice head on it. So that's been around since 70s or early 80s or something. And if these cans are made properly with the proper seal in them, and the coating they have some sort of lacquer coating on the inside, they will keep your beer pretty good. Main problem is a lot of these have been, as you can see from the fading on it, in the sun. That seems to ruin them. Yeah, it's almost tempting. It makes me want to drink it looking at it, but beautiful sparkling going on in there. But as soon as you smell that, yeah, it'd make you vomit, I think. I guess we could try the other one too. Yeah, nice beer, nice looking beer. Still completely carbonated. Schweppes himself would be proud of those bubbles Schweppervessing away in there. But yeah, the smells, I can start to smell it in the room now. And yeah, definitely undrinkable, and these cans are basically worthless in that condition, so I'll go and pour that down the drain. But that sorts them out. I'll just go through everything, and then instead of having like a 20 or 30 kilo box of beer cans, these will weigh next to nothing. They're just far too heavy with the contents in them. There's a risk of them leaking, especially if they get hot. And they weigh a ton. You don't want them on shelves, you don't want them in boxes, you don't want them anywhere with that weight in them. Why people didn't just drink them back in the day, that's all you do. But if you buy them new and you're going to collect them, just punch a hole in it, drink the beer out of it. And these days I'll show you what you've got to do to get into a aluminium one. A bit more difficult, and probably Alzheimer's causing if you do it too often with the aluminium. But yeah, these ones with the old can opener, nice and easy to do. Or if they're just rubbish ones like this, you might as well just open them at the top. If you're not too fussed about them, you can open them at the top. I prefer to keep the caps on because they just look so much nicer when they look like a full can, and you don't get dust and stuff falling in there and God knows what creatures making a home in there. I cleaned a couple more up. That was the one that had all the malty stuff on the top. That all scrubbed off in the end. Came out quite good. That had a nice bit of a pop when I punctured it. This one didn't. This one was gassed, and you could actually feel it was a bit lighter. I reckon about a quarter of it had evaporated out. I'm not sure where, but maybe around one of the top seals or something. Didn't seem to be down the bottom. And turns out this isn't FUC as I thought it was. It's FURS. Furstenberg, I think it is. Or Furstenberg, I guess those little accent things there. Furstlich Furstenbergisch Brewery. So it's not as quite as I didn't want to pronounce it because of the first three letters, but turns out it's an RS. Doesn't really look like an S, but that's a pretty rough can, only just worth keeping I think, but one side's not too bad, so I'll let that dry out, see what it looks like. But that one came out rather nice, the Crown brand or whatever it is. And we'll have a look at, this is an aluminium one. This is a bit deeper bottom than the modern ones. And that's that Sapporo thing. I better not shake it up too much or I'll regret it. But I use just a drill with one of these big batten screws or bugle screws, whatever you want to call them. And the fitting there, and you just drill a hole in it. There. And it will spurt out a bit more than I expected. And that doesn't smell too good. That was a very hard bit of aluminium, which didn't help. It's much thicker than the modern cans. Wow, you can actually build something out of that stuff. But there is a bit of a risk. You do need to keep this thing clean. You've got a bit of zinc probably coming off this and a bit of aluminium off the can. Plus you may get little tiny bits of aluminium in the drink if it's a drinkable beer, as you do with a modern can. Oh well, at least the workplace will smell like beer now, which isn't too bad. Even if it's not the best beer, that one actually is not too bad. And you end up with just a couple of holes in the bottom when it stops frothing away. This can's far from perfect anyway, with a bit of a dent in it. But that's how you save your aluminium ones, because there's nothing to grip on because there's no rim on these. So, wrong end. You can possibly push that in, but with these thicker ones, I mean, listen to that, the sides feel normal, but that base is, like, that's really solid. Whereas these have the little lip, and it just grips in under there, and that gives you something to lever against, so very easy to puncture. One of these wasn't, I think, was it this one? No, one of them I didn't have much of a grip there, but generally they do. Same with the top side if you want to do it, but there's no point these days. But when they just had a metal top on them, that was the idea. You punch a couple of holes in the top. People sometimes did the top, sometimes the bottom. Didn't really matter in those days because it was the same piece on there, until people came up with these ring pull things. I think I decided to keep two of these Tennants in the end, because one of them I think or maybe both, I'll just display the back of them, even though they're a bit rough. Or sometimes what I've done with cans is, if you've got two, sometimes one side can be faded or whatever. If you've got two of the same can and it's a special can, like say the Sydney to Hobart one, you face one of them front ways, like so you know what the front of the can is, and you face the other one backwards, and you basically can see both sides of the can at once, so you know what era it was as far as the front what type of beer, what type of emblem or whatever they're using at the time, what era of artwork, and then you can have the other one backwards facing. So if you've got two cans, one's got a rubbish back and one's got a rubbish front, or you can even just use, for the front one, you can just use the cans. Often they made them with dual-sided cans with no special print on them. But either way, even some of the rubbishy cans can be put to good use. And that one's come up fairly good. That's fairly dry now, so there's a little bit of rust on it. But that's quite acceptable, especially if you just got like a garage display. You only look at them from a distance normally. So it's just more about having the artwork. So I mean, that's not what I'd call a particularly nice artwork. Not my kind of colour scheme. Very kind of 70s brown and gold. And not particularly good artwork. But it's nice to have a few different ones around. I normally just stick to the Australian stuff and mainly the Tasmanian stuff, because there's enough Tasmanian ones without collecting anything else. But I'll go through that whole pile, salvage what I can. And like those two German ones, I just poured them down the drain, gave them a quick flush to get the smell out of them, and threw them on a pile of steel that'll be going to the scrapyard when I get round to it. And that's about all they're good for. Aluminium ones, of course, you just empty them, stomp them, and chuck them in the scrap aluminium pile. They can be recycled for money. I mean, these steel ones can go in the steel cans, general recycling at the tip anyway, for free. And that's the finished result. The top row is all those international cans. I didn't really have any shelf space left for them, so I put them all up the top there, scrubbed off the top of each can and cleaned it up, got all the beer out of them. There's probably still a little bit of moisture in there, but they generally came up pretty well. So that's them there. They probably look a bit better up close in the dim light than what they did under the brighter lighting, but that's besides my Bogue shelf, which is that half. It's got the lion African ones down the bottom. They all came out of the other collection, which is all Australian cans except for the top row. There are a few more modern ones down the bottom, but most of them all came out of this guy's collection, plus all the top row of international stuff. There probably were a few Bogues and stuff. I don't know whether they ended up on this shelf or not, but I did get a few out of there. But very quickly you can feel a set of shelving like that. I just built that recently. I think they were 2.7 metre length bits of timber. You can get from Bunnings, I think 90 wide. And I only cut it, well, I think the bit, that's the offcuts underneath there, just propping it up off the metal a bit. I only cut sort of 90 mil off the end or something. And we end up with, what, 2, 4, 6 shelves plus that little top bit, so I thought I'll put them on the top bit. Not the best place for them. And I do have to insulate this garage because any sort of moisture will be the death of those steel cans. So I've already got some of that insulation that you poke under the iron. It's basically fiberglass insulation. It points upwards with foil underneath, like sisolation sheet underneath, and I did put some sisolation behind. You can see the silver shining, yeah, about there somewhere. But the sheet only, I had the remains of a roll, I think it only came to about there. So at least I got some damp proofing behind them. I'll have to finish that off with another bit one day when I get some more. I've got another roll here somewhere I'll go do a few jobs with, and then I'll use the offcut of that. So that'll protect the moisture, because it does get snow up here. The frost's not so bad because there's trees above here. But when it's snowy, all the walls tend to get a little damp in here, and the ceiling will start dripping, potentially, or the roof. So I'll end up fully insulating that eventually, and try and keep these things reasonably dry. The other problem is there's a roller door here, so that's got quite a gap above it. So on a foggy day or something, you'll probably get a bit of moisture in here. So ideally those steel cans, I'll probably move them eventually and put them somewhere a bit better. And there's another shelf here which I just made out of some scrap timber. Came out of an old office I helped demolish for a friend. Just bits of MDF, and I just thought, well, I might as well just screw them all together and put them in place for the time being. It's a little out of whack. And that's got some steel cans, those large size Fosters and VB and stuff, and a few others, Carlton Draft. There's a few more modern ones, and a few old batteries and a car charger there. But, you know, that gets the side of the garage covered in something a bit more interesting. Also, one more set of shelves here. Some of the cans I've now moved to the other one. Quite a few soft drink ones there. Not all of them in mint condition. Some of these I'm just waiting for a replacement. I just kept it as an example. Like these Cotties. Very rusty and stuff. Some of them dented and all the rest. Oh, the old Tarex cans there. So it's just a matter of waiting for a better one to turn up. But, you know, sort of thing. I'm not actively looking for them. But if a better one shows up, at the right price, I'll replace them. And yeah, even the old one, there's that Pacifica Ale I just shoved there for now. Some light beer or non-alcoholic beer, Pimm's, which I didn't realise even came in a can until someone gave me that one recently. And yeah, a few of the local Cascade ones in poor condition. No roadside fines, so they got to be replaced with better ones one day. I missed out on a couple of collections of Slam cans, so I hope one still turns up, because I used to drink that myself back in the early to mid 90s. And there's a couple of the other ones, more recent. Jim Beam's, Canada Ice or whatever, Guinness, and another Irish one there, which I'll just put on this shelf for now. Not something I really consider collectible at all. And a couple more Bogues ones there. They're big tubes. And yeah, that was some of the other ones out of that collection. More aluminium modern ones. Not really my thing, but now I've got them, I might as well keep them. But at least those ones are all out of that box and nothing's leaking over them, because other cans were leaking on top of the ones below and stuff. It was a real mess. And I almost forgot I had them even. It's been a few years, so it's good to get them out, get them cleaned up, chuck out the ones that aren't much good. And yeah, get them on display. They do make quite a good display, even though I don't really care about the international ones so much. But they come up quite well, considering what they look like. I was almost ready to throw them out. But it was quite a bit of effort and took, you know, probably a few hours, 2 or 3 hours or something, to clean them all, puncture them all, empty them, clean the tops off. I had to scrub all those off with a scrubbing brush, so it does waste a bit of time. But anyway, that's sorted out for now, so thanks for watching.